Hello, welcome to my channel. Um, I recognize that you're probably watching this in the future. Um, Things are probably very different. And I just wanted to say thank you to start off the video. Um, I understand that when people have a following um, on YouTube, some of the biggest fans go back and watch the first video. Go to Mr. Beast's channel. It's a wordless video about a saw trap in Minecraft. Um, and and it has like a million views, like actually like 10 million, like tens of million views, and that's people that are going back and watching the first video. So I decided I should address that and get that out of the way here. So thank you for coming back here. And I thought might as well get to know each other. I'm creating this channel with the hopes to improve my speaking skills, along with my knowledge of current events. So I want eventually to get a job in the public sector, maybe speaking to people, I want to inspire people. I want to be in public, in front of people. And not only that, I want to do something with the government. And what better way to start that than to have a adequate baseline of the current events that are happening in the world. Anyways, that's why I'm doing this. And we can just get to know each other. I want to cover some serious topics, too, and then move on to more fun stuff, because that's what it's all about, right? So firstly, politics. It's going to be embarrassing if you're watching this now, like in the current times, but considering statistics, probability, most likely you're watching this years down the line. So I'm really going to try to stay vague with the political side. I'm not going to mention any of the two parties that exist right now, because of the fact that things change so quickly. And I don't want to align myself with anything right now. But there are things that I strongly believe in, that are a baseline sort of foundation of how I feel about government and politics. And so to reiterate, I'm not gonna say anything specific, but here are some things that I will always believe, no matter what the government feels or is doing or the policy is. This is what I believe. Firstly, I think the government should work for the people. To be someone in the government is not a right. It is not a something that you deserve to have if you ran a good campaign. It's a privilege, and a great one at that. And therefore, I feel like we should treat it as if it was a privilege, which it is. And here's what I think about it. I think the government should be thousands of times more transparent than it is right now. The idea that we can have, this is Canada I'm specifically talking about, a House of Commons that, I mean, let's all be real here. It doesn't really represent the common man, and they will say it does, and they will say that it's something that they strive to achieve. That is the House of Commons representing the common man. I don't think that we're doing a good enough job. I don't think that they're doing a good enough job, and I don't think we should have to accept that. And this is just Canada. Not even gonna start talking about American politics, because that's a whole different can of worms to open. But I think that ideally the government should really think of itself more as something, you know, go back to the basics, right? We are humans, we are evolved, and no matter what you believe, we are intelligent creatures that are capable of creating complex systems in order to achieve things. And the idea that we can have a government that is making decisions that the only like probable reason as to why they could be doing something like that, the decisions that they're making, is because they're either self-serving or incompetent, is preposterous. I do not think that we should ever, uh, you know, have like okay, let's whatever, right? Like we shouldn't be just say, okay, that's fine, that's the government, this is how it is. You can believe in a party, and obviously you should hope for the best for your country, no matter what. But I don't think that the way that things are going right now is sustainable. Financially, we are running deficits, and honestly, we've seen with countries in Europe that we do not need huge deficits to achieve the infrastructure and and everything else that we need in a functioning society. That's just simply not the case. And even though it is a struggle to implement something that could work in the long term, I think as humans we shouldn't just say, okay, that's fine, that's enough, right? We have to always strive for more, and um, to bring it into the perspective of the common person, we are comfortable, but we could be doing so much better, right? So the next thing that I believe in, and obviously this is maybe aligning itself a little bit more towards one side or the other. Again, I won't say, because this is something that the government, Canadian government at the time, is a point that they're trying to make. One second, let me check if this is on. Yeah, okay. It's that the government should not be as much in the life of the common person as it is right now. The government is, well, okay, you've probably seen that little pyramid at school when you were in geography, and it's these different levels, and right at the top is the common people, and below it is the government. If you asked anyone, they would not feel as though that sentiment is being made a reality. And one of the aspects of that, not to just reiterate the first point that I've made, is that the government should not be as much in the life of the common person as it is right now. And obviously we need, oversight, we need laws, we need systems in place in order to have something that can function properly, a society that can function properly. But with that being said, do your part and then stay out of our lives, right? Like I feel like that's probably what most people really want. They want a government that can provide everything that you need for this sort of baseline, and then other than that doesn't step further than that. There's a line, and in many senses lots of governments are crossing that, and sometimes they're hugely crossing that line. But I don't think that should be the case, and in Western society we have a very nice, but the way the things are going, I think that there should be a change. I don't think that we should stand for the way the things are going right now. I really just do think that we could have it so much better than we do right now if we could prove to the people on top that we deserve something better. And then we could show them with actions that we will not stop until we have settled with something that's better than the system that we have in place right now. Um, so yeah, I just put here we shouldn't really have a terrible government in charge of us. Water found in the ocean, right? Like fork found in the kitchen. But I mean, you can probably find an example where that is not the case. Um, all right, let's move on to technology. So AI is the big talking point of, the 2020s, mid 2020s. And I mean, probably for good reason. AI will pose, well, it is firstly probably the biggest economic driving factor in many aspects of Western society. You know, you've got crude oil, you've got the military, and then you've got AI, right? Obviously, that's an oversimplification, but I mean, you really think about it, like it's a really big thing, and I believe not in one side or the other. You have people, you know, you hear about the general sentiment of the culture of China. You hear about the people on top of these big companies that are making billions in profit every, or sorry, have billions of dollars in market cap, and these are the very pro AI folks, and then you have that all the way down the chain to the common person who might be pro AI, and then you have the other side, the anti sort of AI sentiment that I feel is personally growing right now, for better or for worse. I can't say. Um, but I don't really align myself with one side or the other. What I will say is this: we need to be aggressive. We need to keep up with the rest of society because you know no one's gonna wait for us, and we also need to hit the other side where there's guidelines, but you think about guidelines and then you think about bureaucracy, and you think about waiting a long time for things to get done and nothing actually gets done. I don't think that that is an acceptable way to handle AI as a global sort of force. I believe that we need to show aggression in not only the stance that we have with how we want it to grow and be a part of our society, it becoming a more and more versatile tool, it having more and more financial impacts on the world. But at the same time, we also need to be equally aggressive with the guidelines that we set. And we need to, to make this specific, we cannot let the guidelines or the bureaucracy that has been, in charge of, let's say, for example, the housing in Canada, we cannot let that system be implemented into the progression of AI in the future because it's simply too slow and it's ineffective. We need guidelines and we need oversight, lots of oversight, but we need it in a way that allows us to continue to make progress at hopefully the same rate that maybe less regulated countries are doing, and hopefully ideally that could be a globally inspiring force, right? We can show, okay, every country wants to be safe in that sense, but more than that, they want progress. And if you can have progress with safety, then I think the world will be a much better place, right? So, countries should strive to prove to the world that we, as a global society, can function with immense speed, but also immense safety, right? And I think, really getting down to it, we should be looking at the big picture more often, right? We should not focus solely on the little things, the little nuances of the evolution of technology. We should, once in a while, as best as we can, just step back and think to ourselves, we know how to go in a direction, and as a society we are so good at pushing ourselves in a direction, but we need to make sure that we're going in the right direction. All right, that's about it with the serious subjects. So I'm gonna be covering not only my thoughts, but also real current events that are hopefully happening. No, not hopefully. Hopefully, I will be covering events that are happening. And, the world is a serious place, so we don't need to be so serious right now. All right, some things to get to know each other. Then again, I'll just say this again. Thank you for watching this video. It's a great privilege to have a platform where obviously you have come back to try to get a better look at me. And I hope that I could remain eternally grateful for everything, no matter where I am in life. I hope that I can be eternally grateful, even if this doesn't work out. It's probably going on the internet, so it's going to stay on the internet. And hopefully, I can stay true to what I believe. That being, that, I'm always striving to make the world a better place. I'm really trying to look into the big picture, because it's easy to look, I want to make money. I want to have a success and this and that. And even though that's something that everybody wants, that's just the nature of our capitalistic sort of society. Once in a while, you got to have someone who can sort of look into the big picture, and I'm hoping that can be someone that I could be. So thank you. All right, we're on YouTube, so might as well hit some channels that I not only like, but also recommend for people, considering I know the nature of the content that maybe I'll be trying to make on this channel, and where some of that inspiration is coming from. Firstly, Penguin Z0, Moist Critical. You've probably heard of him, but the format that you can just sit down and talk to a camera, I think, is something that, even though is partly lost in today's social media landscape, I think that's something that's very refreshing, and maybe hopefully something that we can keep, because it's easy for AI to replace that. But it's nice to hear a human, talk to you. More on the technological side, Some Ordinary Gamers. It's definitely different, but same thing, this crazy dude just talking to a camera, super entertaining, and I like that kind of stuff. All right, here's probably my favorite YouTube channel right now, or content creator, because they have a lot of different vehicles of getting content into my eyeballs, and that's Atrioc. I think, how should I put this? A lot of the passion that I have for, thinking about what our society could be, with better financial, economical, political, strategy, culture, everything else like that. I think a lot of that comes from Atrioc, because not only does he make it wildly entertaining, he also can deliver that wild, entertainment in a vehicle that is also deeply educational, and that really just helps you, as a person in this field, right? Someone that's interested in that kind of stuff. Even though I won't talk about video games because, this video is long, I do like consuming video game content, and that usually just comes in the form right now. This is very current and something that is subject to change, but right now I'm really into Geometry Dash. I love watching new levels that are coming out, Zoink, Doggy, the big names in, the pro levels of Geometry Dash, Eric Van Wilderman, Vortrox. I find that stuff super interesting, but I know it's maybe a little bit more niche than the before mentioned subjects. I'm also very interested in technology and, the physical sort of sense of technology that is something I find superbly interesting. And lots of that comes from these channels. Mr. Who's the Boss, awesome channel, huge. So, you probably are aware of him at some level. MKBHD, same kind of thing. Linus Tech Tips, great dude. Also love, what's the news thing with Riley? Love their whole thing that's going on there. Jerry Rig Everything is, his voice is very relaxing. It's very easy to calm down, and just watch a phone or technology tear down. And then here's a little curveball, niche sort of nugget, juxtaposed. That is the more software end, but I think they put together really balanced, well thought out, and also wildly entertaining videos to watch in the software side. Obviously, the classics, Tom Scott, Vsauce, and Vertasium. Great guys for science. Really sparked my love for science and my love for learning and being a better person, which is why I'm here. And then some that I said didn't really fit into a category. Wendigoon or Wendigang. I love feeling scared, watching those videos on the analog horror, especially. Mr. Yeaster, technology side, but makes really amazing short form content. Brian Johnson, I think, even though it's hard for me to get behind someone. Actually, no. Okay, I won't make a general statement like that. I think it's important to look in the big picture, especially with the emergence of this biological sort of evolution that's coming along with technology, that's going so fast, and that is a very big picture like that. And sometimes I think of him and get to bed a little bit earlier, which always helps me the day after. Theo T3.gg, new guy that I just came to start watching, but he's very good at crashing out about things that I also feel very vitriolic, no, maybe zealous, very passionate about. And I always like someone that I can empathize with. Matt Batwings. Minecraft is a very awesome game. I love playing it, and Redstone, it's just beyond belief. Nick DiGiovanni, makes me hungry, but I still watch him, and Gotham Chess. This video is getting kind of long, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up there. Thank you again for